Welcome. It's October 22nd, 2024, 9:30 in the morning here on the East Coast. I don't know what time it is where you are, whether you're joining live or on YouTube, but welcome to an open door. Open Door is a group of everyday people who know that being together, discussing and practicing the tools that bring us to truth is a powerful, transformational, loving, and fun thing to do. At Open Door, we meet in an informal, inspired collective of people who know that on this spiritual journey, no one walks alone. Today at Open Door, we're looking at a book called Training Wheels, an experienced guide to the daily lessons of A Course in Miracles. Cindy calls this gathering Where the Rubber Meets the Road, because we will look together at how A Course in Miracles daily lessons can be put to practical, everyday use. The daily lessons are an exercise in mind training. Training for what, you might ask? Training to undo the insane thought system of this world. Training to undo the distortion of what passes for truth in this world. And training to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So welcome, and thank you to Cindy for making an open door possible for all of us. Today, we are going to discover or rediscover lesson 6 of A Course in Miracles. So sit back and be comfortable where you are. Just let it all be as it is, no matter what being is at this moment. I invite you to turn your screen off if you'd like. I'm going to turn mine off. And give yourself permission to do nothing, absolutely nothing right now. Don't push yourself. Don't expect anything. Just listen and allow. Nothing in the world is more important than this moment now. And so we begin. Nothing I see means anything. I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. I do not understand anything I see. These thoughts do not mean anything. I am never upset for the reason I think. And lesson 6, I am upset because I see something that is not there. I am upset because I see something that is not there. Last week, we spent some time noticing our feelings and thoughts, especially ones that made us uncomfortable. And we may have noticed, if we practice the lesson this week, that there are actually many times during the day when uncomfortable thoughts or feelings arise. They may range from mild irritation to anger or even fear. But there can be no doubt that if you are in this world, those feelings arise because this world is based on separation, and separation is never a comfortable place to be. What did you notice and what did you think or feel about what you noticed practicing last week's lesson? I am never upset for the reason I think. One of the key ingredients to wisdom is the simple act of paying attention to what arises in the moment, not doing anything with it, not hanging on to it, just noticing it, letting it be. So today's lesson follows last week's, again, asking that you notice your feelings, your thoughts, your sensations. Even the tiniest upset is relevant because all the sources of irritation or fear or rage or sorrow, they come from the same source, the sense of separation and resistance to what is in front of you. So today, you're asked to reconsider what is behind this resistance or this separation, this sense of being alone and isolated in a world that is alone and isolated. I am upset because I see something that is not there. We are all upset as long as we see a world that is separate. So what is not there? If you're new to this lesson, don't worry about it. Don't worry about why or using the thinking mind to understand or reason out what it is you're seeing that makes you upset. For now, just be open to the possibility that your upset might be about something other than what it seems to be on the surface. If you begin to notice how often your peace is disturbed during the day, you're well on your way. Most of us unconsciously give up our peace. So today and this week, take 3 or 4 minutes at intervals during the day and sit quietly, as we're doing now. Allow thoughts and feelings and sensations to arise and just place your awareness on them. Don't force anything. You may have a sense that you're completely at peace and that nothing is arising. But there is a truth here. A Course in Miracles points this out so clearly. As long as we are seeing separate things, separate people, separate moments in time, there is a deeply buried unconscious fear that resides within us. And how can it not be this way? Because when we see things that are separate, there can be resistance. There will always be blocking to love's presence. Always. So don't analyze this or go into thinking mode. This is a lesson about not doing anything with your thoughts. It's just about paying attention. So when you notice even the slightest discomfort, just repeat the lesson. I'm upset because I see something that is not there. Here's a personal example of how this lesson worked for me, and you all probably have your own personal stories to tell about this lesson. I found myself on a local road in slow traffic on the way to an important appointment. And looking ahead, I saw a school bus with a long line of cars behind it. And as we inched along, stopping every 25 feet, I found my hands gripping the steering wheel. And I said to myself, that damn bus is going to make me late. I complained to myself. I was irritated. But then I remembered today's lesson. I'm upset because I see something that is not there. So I asked myself, what was I really upset about? I wasn't late yet. It was just a thought in my mind. My whole body was responding to the idea about a possible future event that hadn't arrived. I'd made up a story in the moment and then believed my own thoughts about it. This may seem like a small thing, but incidents like this happen over and over again during the day, during the week, during the year. Noticing just one of them can change everything. I am upset because I see something that is not there. Let's take a couple of minutes. I'll time us. Just sit. Let your mind do whatever it's going to do. Just place your awareness on what arises. And actually, whether it's quote unquote good or bad, remind yourself that whatever you see in this world and whatever story you tell yourself about it, it's something that is not there. So enjoy this quiet, and I will bring us back when it's time. Take about 2 to 5 minutes. Allow yourself to gently come back. You might want to just place awareness on your breathing, be in your body. How did that go for you? I'd like to just take the opportunity to ask how last week's lesson went. I'm never upset for the reason I think. If anyone has anything they want to share about that or about this lesson, I'm upset because I see something that is not there. I've been reading some of Tom Dass's commentary on Ramana Maharsha that he's posted on his website. And Ramana Maharshi is just unequivocal in his teaching that we just have to turn inward. That we absolutely have to not see this world as real. And I'm reminded over and over again by A Course in Miracles teachings that how deeply rooted in the Advaita that they are. It's just amazing to me. This is a fundamental lesson. It's the first of 354 lessons. It's the sixth one, and it's telling us to look away from this world as a source of truth, as a source of meaning, as a source of understanding anything. And how 180 degrees is this teaching from what most of us get 24/7. So let's go with Cindy and then Barbara and then David. Cindy, come on down.
Raised my hand when you mentioned Ramana and the no exceptions. I am two things this afternoon. I'm supposed to be doing a teaching on the difference between special relationships and holy relationships. And it dropped while I was listening to you because somehow people keep wanting to make that special. Like find a partner and we can find the truth. But actually it's really, really committing to doing the work with every interaction and turning it around. And the other part is that I'm getting ready to lead a gathering on Sunday at Awakening Together. And the reading that literally came from Rupert Spira, which blew me away, is Brother Lawrence. And I don't know if people know who Brother Lawrence is, but he's the origin of turning everything over to God. And I don't know if any teacher I've ever listened to at one time or another hasn't quoted him. But the key is anything you think you're doing for yourself, do it for God, is, Brother Lawrence, but do it for truth or do it for the universe. And I heard that in what you shared, so mostly I just wanted to say thank you because it really is just that simple, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As long as we think there's an exception, then we continue to make the chaotic world real. And it doesn't matter how subtle it is. And we get to have fun playing human in the process.
It's so
Yeah.
subtle. It's so very subtle.
So
And
that's
so
all I had.
thank you, Cindy. Thank
My
you.
gratitude and love, and recognizing that all these teachers are really pointing to that same thing, right? And this lesson is, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara, come to the head of the table.
Yeah, yeah. I had an experience yesterday, but I don't know how to start. All I know is I told my husband, I gotta be careful of the words I say. Because sometimes I could be real harsh towards people and with myself. But I mean it, yesterday I meant it in jest, but sometimes they don't take it that way. Because right before February, I was talking to our maintenance man, Ken, and I lashed out at him. In a joke, I called him a liar. But even in a joke, I guess in jest, it doesn't matter. He was so pissed off at me. I, I says, okay. I said, I won't talk to you again. And then he says, yeah, get away, stay away. I says, but I'm sorry for what I said. Well, it took him 2 months before he came back and he apologized to me. I says, you don't need to about apologize to me. I said, I told you before, I'm sorry. But he was so mad. And now we're talking again. But yesterday, a friend of ours invited us over to the next building, and we went in. And my husband went in before me, and the neighbor across from the hall from him scared the shit out of him. And I was so happy until she said it was meant for me. Oh, did I lay into her? I mean, I did. I mean, she backed away against the door and her eyes were bugging out. And it's like, right then and there, I should have just gave her a hug. And, I said, I love her or something. Because this morning, our friend says she left this morning. I knew she was leaving. She was moving out of her boyfriend's apartment. But I didn't think it would be today because I told her, you better be careful because you don't know when, if I'll get you. And then she left. And it's like, my husband says, you scared the second person. I said, I gotta be more careful. And he says, yeah, but I know she knew it was, I think she knew that I was only teasing her because I wanted to scare her, but I feel really bad. But so I'm going to text her and says, I'm sorry, but I know she knows I was only kidding. I told Phil that was my getting away surprise, or however you say it, but I'll miss her, even though, we left on our terms, but it's better for her, so I'm all in. But I have to be more careful, even in jest, I gotta be more careful, but that's hard for me in the moment because I'm so heated up. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing, Barbara. I think we've all probably done that. If not once, maybe twice, maybe many times. We think we're joking and it falls flat. So I'm sure she understands. And, sometimes I just lie in bed and I talk to people who aren't there, but I have my conversations and I know all minds are joined. David, unmute David.
David, you need to unmute.
Unmute David.
Okay, sorry. I said I don't have a hand to raise, so I have to just do this because there's no icon for that now. I don't know where that went. Anyway, I'm never upset for the reason I think. And the next one, I'm upset for because I see things that aren't there, is kind of the same thing, because I'll be upset about something. Sometimes it's traffic or whatever it is. But and then I just leave it at face value. Okay, well, this SOB did this, cut me off and scared me and did whatever they did, and I'm upset about that. But really, there's a precursor to that. There's a reason why that upset me, and because I had a bad day or didn't get a good night's sleep or da. But then if I look even past that, there's probably another reason, and another, it's kind of like a chain of events that ends up with me being upset, not for the reason I think. But if I just take the time to look at it and say, okay, what, that happened, why am I upset? And they can go all the way back to the feeling that I'm separated from my higher power, from God, or from I've fallen out of the flow, or whatever words I want to use. But that could be, so I feel alone and I feel lonely and I feel edgy and on and on and on. But there's a reason if I just look at it, and sometimes, just knowing what the reason is, I can forgive myself for being upset. And that, that just kind of, okay, that neutralizes that, and I can go on with my day. Or I could not think about those things and just be upset all day and just be a general SOB. And hopefully thinking when I go to sleep and wake up again, I'll be okay. But if I just stop and think about it, if I just look about it, just look at the reason. There is one, and maybe more than one, and just deal with it. Or like I say, look at it, understand it, and forgive myself. That's the best way I can think of to deal with it. So that's my story.
Thank you. Thank you, David. So I want to say that there are many, many levels to this lesson. Let's just look at a few of them. The first level is to notice what is arising in your mind. That's the basic teaching here, is to get us used to allowing what arises in our mind, whether it's through a sound, a sensation, a thought. Because as we know, one thought leads to another thought, and then you have a story going, right? So just to notice what's in your mind at that first fundamental level begins to break the unconscious wheel and cycle of thinking that goes on from most of us without even realizing it. Right? And then the second level, and this isn't necessarily in hierarchy, but the second thing is, oh, this thought makes me uncomfortable. To notice that. I'm uncomfortable with this thought or with this feeling. So to notice the discomfort that thoughts create in the body, which most of the time we just gloss over and don't pay attention to. And then, as David pointed out, the next level is, did this really happen the way I think it happened? Is this connected to something else? Is this really true? Because I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. So is this thought true? Is it true for the other person? Does it really define the situation completely? So it opens us up to that kind of inquiry. But it really goes even deeper. And this is, in a sense, the more direct path teaching of this lesson. I am upset because I see something that isn't there. I am upset. I, the separate person, the seemingly separate person, am upset. because I see I'm using the body's tools to interpret my world. I see something, some object, whether it's a thought, a sensation, or a feeling, that's just arising in the moment. And it's not there. I may be pulling something from the past in right now. I may be looking or imagining something in the future that will happen, but it's not there right now. See? I see something that's not there in the moment. As Eckhart Tolle teaches us over and over again, everything is fine, right? So I, the separate self, am upset because I see something that's not there, something from the past or the future that's not there. I'm not recognizing what I am in the moment right now, whole and complete, right now. So that's another level of teaching, but it goes even deeper than that. One of the great attributes of A Course in Miracles and its teaching through psychology is that it brings into our awareness the deeply unconscious fear that separation creates. And oh, how humanity has covered that over. Oh, how we deny that, and we use our minds to go from one thought to another thought, or one feeling to another feeling, or one event to another event, in order to keep ourselves from actually sitting
It took 38 minutes, Amy, but you might want to turn your video off.
So, oh, how it oh, I'm thinking, I'm not frozen. I'm not sure where we left off, but what A Course does is it illuminates the deeply unconscious fear that we have of separation. And we cover it up through continuous thinking, continuous diversion, continuous projection. This world is created in every instant because we continuously project separation. And to discover that in the moment and to actually sit with that, sometimes it's mild discomfort and sometimes it's abject terror. To sit with that and see that that is not true, that that is not there, and that it is covering over, as Richard reminds us over and over again, the love that is always present, that is actually sustaining us. Even as we sit with the discomfort, the love that is there constantly, continuously in the silent background. That is what this lesson teaches us, even at its deeper and deepest levels. Livy, come to the head of the table.
Hi, and good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Mhm.
What this made me think about is, although I am a recovering alcoholic, whenever I get super stressed or anxious, my first thought is a cigarette. I haven't smoked a cigarette since February 18th, 2012, a day that will live in infamy. And a couple of weeks ago, I was feeling a lot of anxiety, and my thought was, if you smoke a cigarette, that always helped in the past. And what I chose to do instead was just be with the feeling, to be with the uncomfortableness and not get caught up in the thoughts. And that was kind of new for me. Because as I shared yesterday, I can go down a rabbit hole sometimes without, it can happen so quickly, because it's always been my MO. But for me, it's being okay, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And that definitely is not always easy for me to do. And I'm really grateful to say that I did not smoke a cigarette. I just let myself be uncomfortable with the feeling and not get caught up in the thoughts. And, there was a wonderful man who had shared one time, you can get more stinking from thinking than you can from drinking, but the feel is for real. And I'm finding that to be pretty true for me. And I'm really grateful for the awareness. And I'm really grateful for people like y'all who I can come to when I need the reminders. And so I'm very grateful for y'all because I have a quick forgetter. And I'm grateful today that the fact that I don't know what anything is for. And so it's not for me to judge it as good or bad. And I'm becoming more comfortable in that, especially where my family is concerned, being able to back off instead of being super amped and come in and, I'll fix everything, and I'm really grateful today that I don't have the urges to do that, that I can trust that it's not for me to judge it is none of my business. And it's not for me to judge it as good or bad because I don't know what anything is for. And that's been a real gift. This lesson has been a real gift. These first few ones are really gift for me and in maneuvering in my daily life and recognizing that the woman that I work with, who I can't believe I worked with her for a year, but early on, I had anger that I was actually in therapy for. And I got this wonderful woman in my life that really got my anger going. And I was grateful that I understood, because for a while I blamed her for that. And she's doing this and she's doing that. And doesn't she know who I am? And, that kind of thing. And today I'm really grateful that I recognize her as one of the biggest gifts that could have come into my life, because I had anger and it wanted a story to attach to. And so it stuck on her. And I'm just grateful that she provided a safe space for me to work through my anger. And I see her as a gift and as a being in my life. She's, I look at her differently. I look in her eyes, and as Ram Dass says, I'm in here, are you in there? And I try to remember that on occasion. But I'm very incredibly grateful for an open door, which provides a safe space to just be and to share these stinking thinking and the gifts that I'm given to maneuver through my day without feeling separate and without getting caught. Because I can, you know, if I don't know what anything is for, and you know, I'm not upset for the reason I think I am, then the thinking mind is, okay, well, let's figure out what you're upset for, you know? And so for me, it's just learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable and trusting that it's right here, right now, in this moment. I have everything I need right here, right now. And then the next thing, it's right here, right now. It's just a series of right here, right now, right here, right now. And remembering that I have everything that I need that's, you know, given from the divine love and the oneness. So thanks for letting me share. Wonderful to be with y'all.
Oh, see, Livy, you just epitomized what an open door is all about. And what that was for me was you just gave us a teaching. And this is how I think we are going to move ahead as humanity, is that each of us allows a safe space to be created. We participate in that safe space by creating it within ourselves and then sharing it with others, and then allow the teachings without embarrassment or shame or regret or judgment to come through, so that each one of us learns from each other. That's the point, right? That's the point. And I don't know if any of you follow Sean Reagan. He's a Course in Miracles blogger, but he just had an article on his website that just completely reiterates this. So thank you.
I have a question for this group. Of Sandra first.
You can go ahead, Cindy.
No, I was just gonna state that Amy can't be here next week.
Oh,
And so it was based on this conversation especially. I was wondering if there's anyone here that feels upon their heart to sort of lead us either through a summary of the first 6 lessons or to go right to lesson 7. So it was on my heart to ask
hmm.
who would like to do that. Somebody
That would,
here.
that would be great. I appreciate that, Cindy. I'm having a spinal fusion surgery next Monday. And so I get out of the hospital on Tuesday. So needless to say, I won't be around for that. But I hope I'll be back here sitting down I guess next Tuesday will be the 29th. So hopefully I'll be back in, gosh, it's almost November. Yeah, so yeah, it'll be all be good. Sandra, come to the head of the table and use the next remaining 20 minutes to think about it and get in touch with Cindy if you want to lead it. You can either, if you have the book, you can read from the book, or you can do your own interpretation of the lesson, your own experience with it. We're all teachers here, so it'll all be good. Just step up to the plate and don't get upset about it, right? Sandra.
Thank you, Amy. I thought today was incredibly beautiful. All of your share, every sentence, every word, it felt so clear and so impactful to me. Thank you. What happened during the exercise today was there has been something like a general disquiet. I couldn't even say exactly what it was, but an uncomfortable feeling for a couple of weeks now. And last week, I'm not upset for the reason I think. I thought about it a lot and did self-inquiry on it, and I got no answers at all. But today, as I see something that is not there, and as you talked about, I mean, at first, it did go through levels. It's amazing. It was exactly what you said. The first level was I was trying to find reasons for the disquiet, for the uncomfortable feeling. And the mind was coming up with lots of possibilities. And then I went to a different level where it was, it's the egoic mind that's feeling this way. It's the separate self that's feeling this way. It's not me. And then it went deeper to fear, right to fear. The separate egoic self that I vacillate to is fearful. And it's fearful of what? And what came was, I'm afraid of, it's not the separate self is afraid of not being liked, is afraid of being rejected. And it just made me want to cry for the person who is so conditioned to be still in that fear after all of this awareness, you know. I don't even know if that sentence was right, but that's what's just coming out. It's not exactly right the way I said it, but there was a sadness and a compassion for myself and a recognition that any upset, just like it says in the lesson, it doesn't matter whether we call it small or large, they're all the same. That fear is deep. And I've covered it up in a lot of ways. I'm an outwardly confident person. I project confidence, I think, as I walk through the world. I've learned how to do that. That's also another learning skill of the character. Learned skill of the character. However, so as I came to that recognition of that fear of somehow being left out or being left behind or rejected or not loved, it went away. The feeling went away. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. You know, what again, another teaching moment here.
I can't raise my hand, but Sandra was talking about what came to me is, you know, I'm standing out in the cold rain, naked, and wondering why somebody hasn't brought me a raincoat. Instead of just, why don't you just go inside? You know, but you know, like, you know, it's almost like the story about the man sitting on the roof in the flood, and you know, and wondered why God didn't send him any help, and he said, "I sent you a rowboat and a helicopter and so forth and so on." So, you know, God is, or our higher power, or the flow, whatever word I want to use, is with me all the time, helping me when I just open my eyes and be aware of what all the help is that I have, and just don't. But I think, you know, fear, and like I said before, is when I feel all alone and there's nobody to help me. Well, that's not true, but it's how, if I feel that way, it is true for me at that time. So, you know, if just think, God, you know, all I need to do is just sit and be, and when I sit and be what my higher power, my God, my friend will come and let me know they're with me. And so and all I have to do is that. It's very hard to remember, hard to do, but it's to me, it's the answer for almost, I mean, it's the answer every time I remember to do it.
Thank you,
May
David.
may I add something to that? Right before I was going to share, and then Cindy said she had a question. And then when she asked her question, that fear went right in again. It was like the head said, "Oh, you should help out this wonderful group. You should help. You should offer to lead." And then I went, "Oh my God!" And the fear just came right in again. It was strange, and I thought, "Was this planned? How did this happen?" But I will offer to lead, not lead, just read and facilitate. Because there is nothing to fear.
Exactly.
There's nothing to fear, but
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. Thank you, Sandra. You're going to do a great job. Oh, I wish I could be there. Richard, I'll watch later. Richard, come to the head of the table.
Hi, everybody. Great sharing as always. What came to mind is I'm currently having a rebirth with the course, I guess. And what came to mind with this lesson was the fourth split of the mind. There were a number of splits in the mind of the one child of God who believed had the idea of separation from its source. And there's a number of splits in the mind that create the ego first, and then we choose the ego, and then we look at the ego, all this, what they call in the Course the unholy trinity of sin, guilt, and fear. And the mind that one of the splits decides it wants to be an innocent child of God, so it forms another split of sin, guilt, and fear. And then because it wants to be an innocent self, a victim of the world, then it projects sin, guilt, and fear out, and that's what the world is. The world we experience is the world, the script is written, the Course says, and it's written by the ego that says, you're full of sin, guilt, and fear, that God will find you and punish you for separation. And so what I'm dealing with now is anything I feel less than peace or love, I realize it's not the dream figure that's having this problem. It's the original Son of God or child of God who is experiencing the sin, guilt, and fear that it was the original split. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving the dream, rising above the battleground, reacquainting myself with the memory of the Holy Spirit or stillness, and then I enter the right mind. Only then, when I'm above the battleground, can I be in the right mind. And then I'm saying, okay, what is my job from this point of view? My job at this point of view is be the love that I am. So how do I look at the dream now that I know is a dream and not real? What is my job? How do I manifest in the dream by my hero dream figure, Richard? How do I manifest this truth that I am the love, unconditional love? At first, I have to realize I have to be willing to view everything with non-judgmental awareness. So I'm not saying anything's good or bad within the dream. I just, it just is what it is. And I've learned to laugh at myself a numerous times when I fall into the trap of the ego or the separate self. I just laugh at myself. Here we go again. Why? I messed up again. I never beat myself up anymore. I used to beat myself up all the time. Oh, Richard, you failed again. Now I just laugh. And I just go back to being in my right mind. And so that's what I've, the said is really the remembrance of the original split. That we have this sin, guilt, and fear in our minds that we projected our dreams, our dream figure, but the original sin, guilt, and fear was the belief that we separated from our source and will be punished for that separation. So now I go back to the original sin, guilt, and fear, and sink into the stillness, which is the truth of all it is. And I am at peace of mind again. So love you all. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you all for being here. Keep your door open. Keep the door to your heart open. Keep the door to your mind open. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Something pretty special in an hour and a half, right? Jenny Sheehan's going to admin the 12-step-in meeting, and our leader is also in the room. I'm not going to
Excellent.
tell you who it is. Love us all.
Love us. See you soon.